Good morning. Canada must not ignore the reality of climate change. It is already impacting our ecosystems, hurting our communities, and damaging our infrastructure. Canada's Conservatives will meet our Paris climate commitment and reduce emissions by 2030 to fight climate change and protect our environment. But we won't do it on the backs of working Canadians or by hurting our economy. Canadians can't afford Justin Trudeau's carbon tax hike, and we must rebuild our economy. Le Canada ne doit pas ignorer la réalité du changement climatique. Il a des effets néfastes sur nos écosystèmes. Il nuit à nos collectivités en plus d'endommager nos infrastructures. D'abord, les conservateurs vont respecter l'accord de Paris sur le climat. Pour lutter contre les changements climatiques et protéger l'environnement, nous allons réduire les émissions de gaz à effet de serre d'ici 2030. On va le faire pour notre environnement, pour notre pays et pour nos enfants. De plus, on va le faire sans taxer les travailleurs canadiens et sans faire fuir les emplois ou les investissements du pays. Canada's Conservatives have a plan that will achieve the same emission reductions as the Liberal carbon tax plan while growing jobs and our economy. We recognize that the most efficient way to reduce our emissions is to use pricing mechanisms. However, having a market-based approach means that we cannot ignore the fact that our largest and most integrated trading partner, the United States, does not yet have a national carbon pricing system. And the present state of global trade allows some of the world's worst polluters to become free riders to the detriment of Canadian workers. Any serious plan must recognize these realities. Pour atteindre nos objectifs, nous allons travailler avec les provinces. Comme je l'ai souvent dit, nous allons avoir une approche de collaboration avec nos partenaires provinciaux, non pas une approche paternaliste. Il faut que le Canada soit un leader en matière d'action climatique. C'est la seule façon d'y arriver. Nous allons réunir les provinces pour discuter des prochaines étapes de l'action climatique. Nous allons aussi discuter de la meilleure manière de travailler ensemble pour atteindre nos objectifs. This is the plan we will put to the provinces as a federal partner. Canada's Conservatives will scrap the federal carbon tax backstop and work with the provinces to implement an innovative and national personal low-carbon savings account. This will maintain a consumer price on carbon, but without one penny going to the government. Instead, every time Canadians buy hydrocarbon-based fuel, they will pay into their low-carbon savings account that they will manage and use towards purchases that will help them lower their carbon footprint, improve the efficiency of their home, and live a greener life. That could mean applying the savings account towards buying a transit pass or putting the money towards a new efficient furnace or new windows. It could even contribute towards the purchase of a hybrid or electric vehicle for the family. We will also introduce a zero-emission vehicle mandate based on British Columbia's policy, requiring 30% of light-duty vehicles sold to be zero emissions by 2030. And with our national clean energy strategy, we will build a cleaner, more resilient energy grid that will support the growth in electric vehicles and allow more rural and remote communities to reduce reliance on higher carbon fuels and transition to electricity. Nous allons investir dans les infrastructures de transmission pour acheminer l'énergie propre là où c'est nécessaire. Nous allons faire en sorte que notre réseau électrique soutienne la croissance des véhicules électriques. Nous allons investir $1 milliard dans la fabrication de véhicules électriques, y compris dans la production des batteries. En effet, plusieurs matières premières proviennent déjà de ressources naturelles canadiennes. Pour finir, nous allons investir un autre $1 milliard pour développer la technologie de l'hydrogène, mais aussi les véhicules à l'hydrogène. Canada's Conservatives will lower industrial emissions while restoring Canada's reputation as a safe place to invest and create jobs. We will do this by proposing a minimum standard for North America for key industries to the Biden administration. It will be backed up by a carbon border tariff on countries with lower environmental and emission standards like China to keep jobs and investment in Canada. And we will tie Canada's industrial carbon price to that of our biggest trading partners, the EU and the US, ensuring we move towards our Paris targets without losing thousands of jobs to other countries. We will do so while minimizing changes to the output-based pricing system, a system originally designed by the provinces and which industry is now used to. We will improve the clean fuel regulations to reduce carbon emissions from every liter of gasoline we burn. The Conservatives' low-carbon fuel standard will achieve a 20% reduction in carbon intensity based on a similar approach being advanced in British Columbia. And we will implement a renewable natural gas mandate requiring 15% of the natural gas we burn to be renewable. Nous allons faciliter la création des crédits compensatoires pour les secteurs agricoles et forestiers. En plus d'améliorer la séquestration du carbone, cela va réduire les émissions à moindre coût, en plus de protéger les emplois. Nous allons aussi investir $3 milliards d'ici 2030 dans des solutions climatiques naturelles. Je pense à la gestion des forêts, des cultures et des pâturages, sans oublier la restauration des prairies, des terres humides et des forêts. Nous allons rendre le gaz naturel plus renouvelable. L'objectif est que le gaz que nous utilisons pour le chauffage, pour nos chauffeurs et pour nos appareils ménagers génère moins d'impact sur l'environnement. And we will introduce a tax credit to rapidly accelerate the deployment of carbon capture utilization and storage as a key part of making our energy sector even cleaner while maintaining Canadian technological leadership in this critical area. The Liberal approach to climate change is one of big government taxing consumers and phasing out jobs at a time that we need them the most. The Conservative approach will put consumers in the driver's seat and will reduce emissions while preserving jobs in all sectors and in all regions. We will also invest $1 billion in small modular reactors to maintain Canadian innovation leadership in this advanced form of atomic energy that will allow for zero-emission electricity generation from industrial sites to remote communities in the north. Avec le plan pour des édifices propres, nous allons réduire les émissions tout en améliorant l'efficacité des édifices. Nous allons prendre d'autres mesures pour réduire les émissions par la création d'un processus accéléré d'évaluation de l'impact. Cela va s'appliquer aux projets qui vont réduire les émissions de gaz à effet de serre. Il ne faut pas retarder ces projets. Our plan was the result of extensive consultation to deliver a smart plan to reduce emissions. Canada's Conservatives engaged leading Canadian experts in climate modeling to measure the impact of our plan. They have determined that the Conservative climate change plan will achieve the same emission reductions as the Liberal government's current plan, but will also significantly boost jobs and economic growth in comparison with the Liberal approach. Let me say that again. The Conservative Low Carbon Savings Account and our complete climate change plan will match the emission reductions being promised by the Trudeau Liberals without the economic disruption their plan will cause. Des experts canadiens en modélisation du climat ont analysé ce plan de manière indépendante. Ils ont constaté que le plan des conservateurs va permettre d'atteindre les mêmes réductions d'émissions de gaz à effet de serre que le plan des libéraux. La grande différence est que notre plan va créer des emplois en plus de faire progresser l'économie canadienne. Nous devons faire notre part pour réduire les émissions mondiales. Le Canada a beaucoup à offrir. We will also implement a liquefied natural gas export strategy to displace coal in electricity generation around the world. We will develop markets for Canadian nuclear technology and our uranium to help countries generate more emission-free energy. And we will export Canadian emissions reduction technology around the world. A serious approach to climate change will present challenges for Canada. But if we rise to this challenge, we can secure Canadian unity and prosperity today while safeguarding the environment we owe our children tomorrow. En 2019, l'ancien Premier ministre conservateur Brian Mulroney a exigé un leadership innovateur canadien en matière de changement climatique. Il nous a rappelé que l'âme canadienne fait toujours preuve d'audace. In 2019, former Conservative Prime Minister Brian Mulroney called for innovative Canadian leadership on climate change. He reminded us that there is still a place for daring in the Canadian soul when it comes to climate change. Daring means that we must take serious action on climate change. Daring means we must look beyond the tired and ineffective solution of sending more and more tax dollars into the black hole of big government in Ottawa. Daring means we must adopt smart and innovative solutions that engage both consumers and industry in the process of developing a lower carbon future. Our plan takes swift action on climate change. Our plan trusts Canadian families to be part of the climate change plan. And when compared to the Trudeau carbon tax, our plan is just as effective in emission reduction, but vastly superior in preserving jobs and growing the Canadian economy. Pour résumer, le plan conservateur pour lutter contre le changement climatique va être audacieux, innovateur et efficace. Les conservateurs vont agir pour l'environnement. In simple terms, the Conservative plan on climate change is daring. Canada's Conservatives are ready to secure our environment and secure our future. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
And now we'll be taking questions, starting with questions on the phone and alternate between the room and the phone to sanitize the mic between questions.